World Bank has highly praised Bangladesh's development model under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and said other nations can follow this. The appreciation came when visiting Executive Director of the World Bank, Parameswaran Iyer, called on the Prime Minister at Ganabhavan today. After the call on, Press Secretary to the Prime Minister Ihsanul Karim briefed the newsman. The World Bank Executive Director said a phenomenal transformation has taken place in Bangladesh during the tenure of the government of Sheikh Hasina. In this regard, Parameswaran Iyer assured that the World Bank would continue its support and cooperation to Bangladesh's next phase infrastructure development. Pointing out World Bank's support for the Rohingyas, Parameswaran Iyer said the organization has so far provided $700 million for the relocation. During the meeting, the Prime Minister said her government and party undertakes all the programs in a planned way and implement these accordingly. Now the aim of the Awami League government is to eradicate poverty and ensure better living standard of the common people, she said. While talking about Rohingya issue, the Prime Minister renewed her government's firm stance that the Myanmar nationals must go back to their homeland in Rakhine. Alternative Executive Director in the World Bank, Dr. Ahmed Kaikaus, Secretary to the Prime Minister's Office, Mohammad Salauddin, and ERD Secretary Sharifa Khan were present. Bangladeshi UN official Lieutenant Colonel retired AKM Sofiul Anam has formally expressed his gratitude to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for her role in rescuing him from the clutch of Yemen's branch of terrorist group al-Qaeda after 8 months of abduction. A press release of the Prime Minister's office said Sofiul, along with his family members, met the Prime Minister at Ganabhavan today. Principal Staff Officer of Armed Forces Division, Lieutenant General Wakaruzaman, Director General of National Security Intelligence NSI, Major General T.M. Jubair, and Military Secretary to the Prime Minister, Major General Kabir Ahmed, were present. After 18 months of captivity by al-Qaeda, AKM Sofiul Anam was rescued by the NSI on the orders of the Prime Minister. Sofiul Anam returned to the country on Wednesday. Some 70% Bangladeshis believe Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is doing a good job as Bangladesh is set for general elections in late December 2023 or early January 2024. Washington-based think tank International Republican Institute IRI in its survey report. According to IRI, the approval rate was 4% higher than that of a 2018 survey to gauge Sheikh Hasina's popularity, while the study was carried out by them as well. The survey was conducted between March and April, while IRI posted the results overnight on its website. IRI is an American non-profit organization funded and supported by the United States federal government, though most of its board members are drawn from the country's Republican Party. The institute also sought to analyze its survey findings through focus group discussions, when analysts attributed the premier's successful COVID management, a raft of infrastructure projects, and a series of safety net schemes. The analysts believe Sheikh Hasina's enhanced approval rate in a span of 5 years validates her successful COVID management, a raft of infrastructure projects, and the rolling out of a number of safety net schemes. The report said in view of the government's performance in different sectors, the endorsement for ruling Awami League also stood high. Awami League Presidium member and Agriculture Minister Dr. Abdul Razak has said India wants political stability for economic development and peace in the region. He said this at a press conference after visiting India at Awami League President's political office at Dhanmondi, the capital, today.
আমাদের বন্ধুপ্রতিম দেশ বিরাট এলাকা জুড়ে তাদের সাথে আমাদের সীমানা স্বাধীনতা যুদ্ধে ভারত আমাদের পাশে ছিল 1 কোটি মানুষকে শুধু তারা রিফিউজি হিসেবে আশ্রয় দেয়নি আমরা জানি যে মুক্তিযুদ্ধে তারা আমাদেরকে সর্বদিক থেকে সহযোগিতা করেছে মুক্তিযুদ্ধের পর থেকে তাদের সাথে আমাদের সম্পর্কে নানা চড়াই উতরাই হয়েছে নানান অপশক্তি স্বাধীনতা বিরোধী শক্তি তারা নানানভাবে ভুল ব্যাখ্যা করে মানুষকে বিভ্রান্ত করেছে তারপরেও আমি বলবো ভারতের সাথে এই মুহূর্তে আমাদের সম্পর্ক অনেক উঁচুতে নির্বাচন করবে বাংলাদেশের নির্বাচন কমিশন সহযোগিতা করবে বাংলাদেশের প্রশাসন, আইন শৃঙ্খলা বাহিনী, সেনাবাহিনী সবাই মিলে। ভারত এখানে এই নির্বাচনে কি করবে? তাদের কিছু করার নাই, তারা কোনো মন্তব্য করে নাই। তারা শুধু আশা করে যে সংবিধান অনুযায়ী এবং যে নির্বাচনের প্রস্তুতি, এদেশে একটা সুষ্ঠু সুন্দর নির্বাচন হবে, জননেত্রী শেখ হাসিনা প্রধানমন্ত্রী থাকবে। ভারত, জাপান, অস্ট্রেলিয়া, যুক্তরাজ্য, পৃথিবীর সব দেশেই প্রধান ইনকামবেন্ট প্রধানমন্ত্রীর থেকেই নির্বাচন হয় এবং সেইভাবেই ভারত এটাতে বিশ্বাস করে।
Speaking on the occasion, Information and Broadcasting Minister and Awami League Joint General Secretary Dr. Hassan Mahmud said the Bharatiya Janata Party BJP believes that if the election is held in Bangladesh as per the constitution, it would be fair and acceptable.
বাংলাদেশে যে জননেত্রী শেখ হাসিনার নেতৃত্বে রাজনৈতিক স্থিতিশীলতা অর্জিত হয়েছে, সেই কারণেই বাংলাদেশ এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে এবং এই রাজনৈতিক স্থিতিশীলতা যাতে অব্যাহত থাকে সেজন্য আমরা একযোগে কাজ করব এবং আমরা তাদেরকে বলেছি এখানে যারা সংখ্যালঘু সম্প্রদায় আছে তারা যে আওয়ামী লীগ সরকারের সময় নিরাপত্তা বোধ করছে, একই সাথে মানুষের যে অর্থনৈতিক সমৃদ্ধি ঘটেছে সেটিরই পরিচায়ক হচ্ছে প্রতি বছর উৎসবের বার্তা পাচ্ছে। হিন্দু, মুসলিম, বৌদ্ধ, খ্রিস্টান সবাই মিলে আমরা যে উৎসব করি সেটি হচ্ছে পয়লা বৈশাখ। পয়লা বৈশাখে ছুটি মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনাই ঘোষণা করেছে, উৎসব ভাতা সেটি আমাদের সরকারই দেওয়া শুরু করেছে। একই সাথে এই দেশের এই অঞ্চলের শান্তি, স্থিতি, শৃঙ্খলা, রাজনৈতিক স্থিতি এবং সাম্প্রদায়িক অপশক্তিকে দমন করার জন্যে এবং সাম্প্রদায়িক সম্প্রীতি অব্যাহতভাবে রক্ষা করার জন্যে যে আমাদের সরকার যে কাজ করছে তাতে তারা সন্তোষ প্রকাশ করেছে এবং এটি যেন অব্যাহত থাকে সে ব্যাপারে আশাবাদ ব্যক্ত করেছে।
Awami League Organizing Secretary Shujit Roy Nandi, Office Secretary Biplab Borua, Deputy Office Secretary Saim Khan, Deputy Publicity Secretary Abdullah Awal Shamim, lawmakers Arma Dotto and Marina Jahan were present at the briefing. Meanwhile, Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmud joined a dengue prevention program organized by Juba Mohila League at Shahbag in the capital this afternoon. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Hassan Mahmud asked BNP to learn from the Juba Mohila League how to stand beside the people. Dr. Hassan Mahmud said it is important to stand by the people instead of begging at foreign embassies.
একটি প্রতিষ্ঠান IRI এর রিপোর্টে যখন দেখা গেল 70% মানুষ শেখ হাসিনার কাজকে অনুমোদন দেয়, জননেত্রী শেখ হাসিনাকে সমর্থন করে, বিএনপির সুর নরম হয়ে গেছে। তারা ক্ষণে ক্ষণে বিদেশিদের কাছে যায়, তাদের হাতে পায়ে ধরে এবং একটা কিছু করার জন্য বলে। বিদেশিরাও কেউ মুখ ফুটে তত্ত্বাবধায়ক সরকারের কথা বলে নাই। তারা বলছে কি? তারা বলছে অবাধ সুষ্ঠু নির্বাচন। আমরাও অবাধ সুষ্ঠু নির্বাচনই করতে চাই। আজকে বিএনপির সুর এখন নরম, বিএনপির সুরে মনে হচ্ছে গণেশ উল্টে গেছে। বিএনপিকে বলবো আমাদের মেয়েদের কাছ থেকে শিখুন কিভাবে মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়াতে হয়। ওই ইউটিউবের সামনে গিয়া আমরা সাজগোজ করে ওই পোস্ট দেওয়া আর বিদেশি দূতাবাসে সাজগোজ করে করে যাওয়া বাদ দিয়ে মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়ান। আজকে বিএনপিকে মোকাবেলা করার জন্য আমরা শুধু যুবলীগ আর যুব মহিলা লীগকে দিব, আওয়ামী লীগ। আপনারা এই অশান্তির পথ বাদ দিয়ে আপনারা মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়ান, গাড়ি ঘোড়া পোড়ানো বাদ দিয়ে মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়ান, পুলিশের উপর হামলা পরিচালনা বাদ দিয়ে মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়ান, মানুষের সম্পত্তি ধ্বংস করা বাদ দিয়ে মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়ান। আমাদের মেয়েদের কাছ থেকে
Juba Mohila League President Alia Sarwar Daisy and General Secretary Sharmin Sultana Lili also spoke on the occasion. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anisul Haq has said the proposed Cyber Security Act will be very helpful in preventing harassment of the journalists. The minister said this while addressing a press briefing on abolishing the Digital Security Act and proposed Cyber Security Act in the capital this afternoon. Presided over by the State Minister for ICT Division, Zunaid Ahmed Polok, the briefing was attended by Secretary of Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs Division, Muhammad Moinul Kabir, Law and Justice Division Secretary Muhammad Ghulam Sarwar, and Secretary of Information and Communication Technology Division Muhammad Shamsul Arifin, and other senior officials. The Law Minister said the changes that were brought in the Act were so many that the government had stuck to the previous name, Digital Security Act. It had to name it as a Digital Security Amended Act, which would have been confusing. So government opted for the name Cyber Security Act 2023. We brought cyber to increase its extent, he added. The sternness of punishment in DSA, which had created a controversy, has been reduced in the proposed Cyber Security Act CSA to a great extent. Some non-bailable sections have been made bailable, he added. Bangladesh has already exported 2,800 metric tons of mango in 34 countries, with still a month to go in the current season. This huge amount of mango export has surpassed all previous records. People concerned said that mango export would surpass 5,000 metric tons in the next year. The country exported 1,757 metric tons of mango in the last year. New export markets of mango have also been created alongside boosting export figures. Bangladeshi juicy mangoes are now available at super shops in 34 countries, including the United States, Germany, Portugal, Switzerland and Hong Kong. The number of mango exporters is also increasing in the country because of their growing demand for this sweet fruit. Exporters said if the authorities concerned give priority to maintaining the quality and packaging of mangoes, this sector can play an important role in the economy. Currently, Bangladesh produces 24 to 25 lakh metric tons of mango per year. A total of 18 landless families of small ethnic communities in Bandarban got environment-friendly machang ghor built on wooden and bamboo platforms from Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as a gift of Mujibur. According to the Bandarban District Administration, machang houses have been given under the Ashrayan project initiated by the Prime Minister's office. Every machang ghor has 2 bedrooms, a balcony and a kitchen. A healthy bathroom has been constructed beside the machang ghor. Electricity has also been ensured for every machang ghor, which was out of imagination to the ethnic communities. The government so far has constructed 1,126 semi-paka houses in 6 unions in Bandarban for the homeless and landless people under the Ashrayan project. Machang houses have been constructed where construction of semi-paka houses is not possible. Beneficiaries of the ethnic communities are very happy getting the gift from Prime Minister. Now they are playing a role in the development of the country after being self-dependent. The government is trying to bring remote people into the mainstream. Concerned people have welcomed the initiative bringing ethnic communities into the mainstream. Noted Norwegian educationist and researcher Dr. Alti Pearson said Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Ashrayan project is unique in the world because there is no precedence in the world of handing over houses with ownership to homeless people built on government's land. He said this in an article titled Bangladesh's Ashrayan project is an example of inclusive development for the developing world, published on the Nepalese online news portal Rotapati yesterday. Atli Pearson says the initiative ensures ownership of the gifted land for both husband and wife. It is a rare example of empowering women. There are similar initiatives taken by the Sheikh Hasina government such as Bir Nibash, Minorities Rehabilitation, Cluster Village, Disaster Resilient Homes and Housing Fund Homes. Under these programs, as many as 4,14,800 people have received homes with ownership. As a result, a total of 334 upazilas in Bangladesh have become inhabitants without landless and homeless. The dengue situation in the country is worsening day by day. A press release of the Directorate General of Health Services said 12 more dengue patients died in the last 24 hours, of them 7 were in Dhaka and 5 outside Dhaka. 2,959 dengue patients were admitted to different hospitals across the country during the last 24 hours. Among them, 1,097 dengue patients were hospitalized in Dhaka city and 1,862 patients outside Dhaka. Meanwhile, no patient died of COVID-19 in last 24 hours. The country reported 35 COVID-19 positive cases as 1,645 tested in the last 24 hours. Corona infection rate was reported at 2.13%. Now, international news. At least 36 people have died as fast-moving wildfires tear through the Hawaiian island of Maui, officials say. The deaths in the resort city of Lahaina, the island's main tourist destination, came as strong winds from a distant hurricane fanned the flames. The fire is one of the several ongoing blazes that have burnt entire neighborhoods of the group. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate their homes and a state of emergency has been declared. A huge search and rescue operation is underway, with some people still unaccounted for. Fighters are still battling active fires, with helicopters dropping water on the blazes from above. 5 evacuation shelters have been opened on Maui, and officials earlier said they were overrun with people. The island is a popular tourist destination and visitors have been urged to stay away. The government of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi today defeated a non-confidence motion in Parliament after a fiery speech by the PM at the climax of a 3-day debate. The motion was defeated in a voice vote called by the Speaker of the lower house. Television images showed shortly after opposition MPs, including Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi, walked out of the chamber. The no-confidence motion was brought by the opposition over months of ethnic violence in Manipur state that has killed more than 150 people. But analysts see it as a political maneuver ahead of a general election next year. The military leaders in Niger who seized power in a coup last month have formed a new government, according to a decree read out on national television on Thursday. Prime Minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain will lead the 21-member government, with generals from the new military government council heading the defense and internal ministries. The announcement comes as West African heads of state began an emergency summit in Nigeria to discuss a new response to the last month's military takeover in Niger after the coup leaders defied the earlier threat to use force to restore democracy. Addressing the summit, Niger President Bola Tinubu said the bloc would be assessing solutions to the situation as the coup poses a threat to the entire West African region. Outgoing Ecuadorian President Guillermo Lasso has declared a countrywide state of emergency for 60 days in response to the killing of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio at a campaign rally in the capital, Quito. Villavicencio, 59, a vocal critic of corruption and organized crime, was killed at the campaign event on Wednesday amid a surge in violence in the Andean nation blamed on drug traffickers. In an address broadcast on YouTube, Lasso said, "The armed forces as of this moment are mobilized throughout the national territory to guarantee the security of citizens, the tranquility of the country and the free and democratic elections of August 20. The Attorney General's office said one suspect in the crime later died of injuries sustained in a shootout. The violence injured 9 other people, including a candidate for the legislature and 2 police officers. Russian forces took down more than a dozen Ukrainian drones flying towards the capital Moscow and the city of Sevastopol in the annexed Crimean Peninsula, according to the country's defense ministry. The attack on Moscow on Thursday is the latest in a series of Ukrainian drone raids deep inside Russian territory. The defense ministry said in a statement that 2 drones flying in the direction of the city of Moscow were destroyed, while 11 others were brought down near the city of Sevastopol. Thursday's reported drone raid comes a day after Russia said it had shot down 2 Ukrainian combat drones that were deployed to attack Moscow, one near a major airport to the south of the Russian capital and one to the west of the city. Ukrainian air attacks inside Russia have increased since the first reported drone attack against the Kremlin was averted in the early May. Now some other international news in brief. Iraq's rising temperatures and protracted drought are a wake-up call for the world, United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk said in Baghdad. Iraq is one of the 5 countries in the world most touched by some effects of climate change. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva urged wealthy nations Wednesday to fulfill their unkept promises to fund developing countries' fight against climate change at a summit on saving the world's tropical forests. Hundreds of flights and high-speed trains were cancelled and businesses shuttered in the South Korean port town of Busan after tropical storm Kunan made landfall and battered Japan, bringing heavy rain and high winds. A Palestinian armed fighter was shot dead by Israeli forces during a raid on a village near the occupied West Bank town of Nablus, the Palestinian Health Ministry has said. An earthquake measuring 5.2 on the Richter scale struck off central Sulawesi province in central Indonesia on Thursday. The tremors of the earthquake did not potentially trigger a tsunami.
Rural region, central Sulawesi. The earthquake occurred.
A 9-member delegation led by OIC Humanitarian, Social and Cultural Affairs Assistant Secretary General Tariq Ali Bakhit made a courtesy call on State Minister for Disaster Management and Relief, Dr. Muhammad Inamur Rahman, at the Secretariat today. During the call-on, they discussed various issues including security, drinking water, treatment, education and sanitation facilities for Rohingya refugees living at different camps in Cox's Bazar. The State Minister called upon OIC for taking strong initiatives for creating public opinion across the world to ensure safe repatriation of Rohingya refugees. Bangladesh called upon the Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) to mobilize international support for sustainable repatriation of the forcibly displaced Rohingyas to their homeland in Myanmar. Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister Mohammad Tofazal Hossain Mia made the call when the visiting OIC delegation led by its Assistant Secretary General for Humanitarian, Social and Cultural Affairs, Ambassador Tariq Ali Bakhit, paid a courtesy call on him in Dhaka this afternoon. Tofazal Hossain Mia, who presided over the meeting, has sought financial and other required assistance to relocate the Rohingyas to the Bhashanchar. He also sought the support from the Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) and the OIC countries to contribute significantly to create a financial fund for the Rohingyas. Secretary to the Prime Minister's Office Muhammad Salahuddin was present at the meeting. Now, news on sports. The Netherlands will face Spain in the quarterfinals of the FIFA Women's World Cup tomorrow. The match will start at 7 a.m. Bangladesh Standard Time in Wellington, New Zealand. In the other quarterfinal, the Japanese girls will face Sweden in Auckland at 1:30 p.m. Bangladesh Standard Time. Now, some weather news. Met Office in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow said light to moderate rain or thunder showers accompanied by temporary gusty wind is likely to occur at many places over Rangpur, Mymensingh, Chattogram and Sylhet divisions and a few places over Rajshahi, Dhaka, Khulna and Borishal divisions. Besides, moderately heavy to heavy falls is likely to occur at places over the country. Day and night temperature may remain nearly unchanged over the country, said the Met Office. To end the bulletin, headlines once again. Bangladesh's development model is worth following by developing countries, says the World Bank Executive Director as he calls on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has support of country's 70% people, says a survey by US-based organization IRI. India wants regional political stability for the sake of peace and economic development of the region, say Awami League delegation members. Dr. Hassan Mahmood asks BNP to learn from Juba Mohila League on how to stand by the people. Cybersecurity Act being formulated not to control media but to curb cybercrime, says Law Minister Anisul Haq. At least 36 people die as wildfire burns to ashes in the historic town of Lahaina on the Pacific island of Hawaii. And Spain face the Netherlands in quarter-final of Women's World Cup football tomorrow. That's all from the newsroom for the moment. Thank you for staying with us.